Okay, officially start February koha-US System Administration SIG meeting. The agenda's in the chat. So everyone should be updated to 2005 now. Early adopters, like Jason mentioned a few minutes ago, did get an earlier point update. So there are some things that we might not have yet because we haven't been. I think we'll be getting updated next time everybody gets a point update. So anything, Daniel, you said before we got started that you had been finding lots of little things. Anything you want to talk about or share, or anyone else from 2005 updates?
Well, I was just going to mention that EDI. We've gotten a weird one where it was the invoices or the invoices would come in and no items would be attached. And that recently started showing up after we went to 2005. And I'm not sure if anybody else is using EDI has seen this, but it's just kind of a weird thing that we've seen. It's the biggest issue we're having so far.
Only one of our libraries uses EDI ordering in our consortium, but I am meeting with them later today. We'll see if they're having any trouble.
Rhonda, you do EDI, right? Do you have any?
Yeah, Daniel, was that a specific vendor that you're having a problem with, or is it just kind of across the board?
It's across the board.
Because we had a couple things with Ingram where we weren't. No, that was different. That was we were trying to do too much. That was a different situation. We haven't had trouble with it. Which vendors do you have?
Baker and Taylor, Brodart, Ingram, and Midwest Tape.
Okay. We have Ingram and Midwest Tape. We haven't had any trouble with Midwest Tape at all.
Wow, I feel special now.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
Can I ask, do you create your items at the invoice stage or earlier in the ordering, Rhonda? I wonder, does that affect it?
We create our items on order when they're ordered.
That's what our library does too, the one that uses.
Because I think you have to have the item attached to the record before people can put holds on it, and we want people to put holds on it before it arrives.
Yeah, and sorry, this is Daphne. I missed who said they're not coming in on the invoices. Is that the case in your library?
That'd be me, Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel.
Oh, sorry, Daniel.
No worries.
Are you creating your items at ordering as well?
From how I understand it, it's when the items are created once the order has been shipped and we receive that invoice back.
So I wonder, is that why you're having the problem? Everyone else is creating the orders earlier, creating the items earlier. So the items are not actually coming in from with the invoice. You probably don't want to change your workflow.
Yeah, the catalogers would probably tar and feather me if I asked them to do that.
Just a thought. I don't know if anyone in Ireland, we start off with the quotes and it works much better if you actually create the items right at the very beginning. So that's why now we're not on 2005 yet, but that's probably why we won't, well, I'm hoping we won't have problems.
I'll write this down and mention it to the catalogers and see what they say. So creating the items before the order is sent out. I have a feeling that we do, and people are allowed to place holds on them, but the exact number is populated when the invoice comes in. But I'll double check.
Well, if it is a problem, we'd like it fixed before we start using it. So thank you.
I just did a quick Bugzilla search and I didn't see anything come up. Which doesn't mean it's not a bug, but it doesn't seem to be a known bug yet, at least.
Yeah, I set up the EDI and everything by myself, so that might be it. But it has worked so far, so that's why I'm kind of wondering if there's something else on the back end that kind of got hosed. So
I think I remember a conversation in Slack where Marcy from McKinney maybe had a problem like that.
I'll take a look. I did a quick search in Slack and didn't find anything, but I might have been looking at it. They might have been early adopters, so that's why I didn't pick it up. But she's actually the person that I got most of our settings or how to configure the plugins from. So I'll go back and take another look.
I wonder if there's a plugin mismatch, if your plugin needs to be updated. If there's a newer version. I don't know what the most recent version is since we don't use that, but it might be worth checking to see if it's on the most recent version. Jason looks like he had an idea.
I was
Oh.
I was searching Slack for that. I did find a conversation from, oh no, that's a long time ago though, from Marcy about things getting EDI ordering was messed up, but it was because they had things locked up on the back end while they were working on something. But I agree that maybe checking the plugin version, you can see when it was most recently updated on the GitHub pages for those, I think. There might be something out of date there that's causing the problem.
Okay. Any other 2005 changes people want to talk about?
Is anybody using the cash register functionality that got added yet? No, I've had interest from some of my libraries. I haven't had time to play with it yet to see if it's viable in a consortium setting. So I just wondered.
I think Christopher put in some bugs about trying to make it work better in a consortium setting, like being able to set like a default cash register if you're to a user. Because I think they have a setup like ours where they have, we have like a Moscow Circ login.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can find that one. Real quick. So I think he's at least been playing around with it. I haven't yet played around with it.
I found one that says allow a cache register for a login session and configuring library default cache registers, and that one was pushed in 2011. So maybe that can be my stall tactic to say that it'll work better. Although it says it won't be backported to 2005. So That might be the one. I can put that link in the chat.
Good. I think this is the one I was thinking of. Cache management needs default register setting. For the user to, yeah, so adding a drop down setting for the user to select their default register. Oh wait, default by branch. They have different registers for different boxes, different desks. I will add that to the chat as well. Okay. Any other 2005 update follow-ups? Okay. Anyone working on any exciting reports? We've been trying to make PayPal reports work better for a consortium because we recently turned that on. And it sort of works. The biggest problem we have right now is apparently there's some problems if say someone pays for multiple items in the same transaction, that the report doesn't know very well how to handle that, because we're trying to say basically how our consortium works is lost and damaged item payments go to the owning library. Only one library is doing fines, so if those get paid, they'd go to that library if they get paid online, and then nothing else should be. So it should all be hopefully something where we could say, give us all the payments that were made from via PayPal and tell me how much each branch should be getting. But if someone's paying for like 3 lost books from different branches, that gets weird, basically. It hasn't happened yet, but according to Andrew, it sounds like it might say that each library needs the total amount of that transaction instead of the amount of the item. So I've been playing around with that some, but also since we don't have any PayPal payments yet that cover that, it's hard to actually test it. Although actually going through all my emails this morning, it looks like we might have got one. Either someone was paying for like a kit that was lost, or a very expensive book, or multiple books. So I'm hoping it's multiple books from different libraries and I can do better testing now. Oh, and I wanted to thank Jason for that cover image report from January. It was very helpful because we've needed to do a bunch of ISBN stuff since then, where we had to have normalized ISBNs, because we got Novelist Select, and they needed a list of all our ISBNs. And they said they preferred if it was either in all 10 or all 13 ISBNs and not mixed. And I was like, luckily I have a report that makes that really easy. And also the CoverFlow plugin that we're using on our new WordPress site that we're building works a little bit better if it's normalized ISBNs. It can work with both 10 and 13s, but it works better. Just from my testing, it seemed to work better if they were all the same. So thanks, Jason, for that.
I totally didn't even think about that for using it for novelists, because my workflow on that is to download a report of all of our ISBNs and then run a bunch of formulas in Excel, to like strip things and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I just did it in the report itself since we had that
that
lovely.
would save me time using my
Yeah.
own code.
So do you have to export that like regularly for them?
I had been doing it monthly before the world ended. I haven't been doing it as frequently, but yeah, like to keep it up to date, it was a monthly update thing where
Is that something where you could even just if the report did everything you needed, you could just send it up to cron job, send to novelist?
Yeah, because that's what we
probably,
do.
Set
yeah.
up that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to say, we're just in the process of, I've been doing it manually month by month for a long time. And I was looking to say, we just went to Koha and Bywater in June. I was like, hey, I wonder if there's a better way to do this. And they said, yeah, there's a query they run that they automate it and do the export. So we're in the process of getting that switched over right now
Mm-hmm.
to do it automatically on a monthly schedule for us. So
I'm gonna do that.
Question about that, because we have that set up, and I used to get an email from Novelist all the time, just kind of we got your upload, and I no longer get those. And it's kind of made me wonder if, they just stopped sending those, or if there's something wrong on our end.
I was told that I had to notify them every time Bywater sent in a upload. I had to notify them being novelist. So I've got a thing on my calendar that, I don't know, it's a second Monday or so. I don't remember what it is, but it just says send this note, and I've got this canned email that I just send every time, and I've been getting the confirmations that they've received my stuff. But they told me they don't go out. Novelist doesn't go out and look and see what's on the server. They only process your stuff if you let them know that they're out there. So
I was either never told that, or I used to do it and I've forgotten. So I'll have to go back and check on that.
yeah, it's just a you have to put in your, let's see if I can find my
yeah, it's got like your account number, and it's
Yes.
a very specific subject line you have to use, right?
Yep.
And if you're worried about it not getting sent out, the other thing you can do, and I might have missed this because my internet went out briefly again, is they can set up those cron jobs to email to multiple email addresses. So you could also have it sent to yourself, so you could see that it was going through. And then if you did need to bother EBSCO about it, you could know that it had gone through, so you could just send out an email like, it should have come through this morning, please confirm, or something.
Yeah, because I used to get the emails and then it stopped. So I'll just have to go back and look.
Well, and I know when we updated, not to 2005, but we all our, and I think it's because there have been like a comma on job that and letting it work, and then there was a update that fixed like a security issue with that or something, and so all our jobs broke until they took the extra comma. So if you have other on-job reports that you're getting, those are coming through probably fine. But we had a problem where a bunch of our cron jobs, like notices and stuff. Interesting. Any other reports or sysadmin? Oh yeah.
I tried out George's every other Tuesday item dashboard finale report that he put together, and I've got it partially working. He's got some extra like authorized values in one of his reports that he refers to that we don't have, so I'm going to have to figure that out. But it's he did a really great job on that, and it's basically you scan in a barcode and it gives you all this information about the item, very nicely formatted, and it's information from multiple reports, and it has, the final report is like 350 lines or something, and it has lots of joins and lots of unions and coalesce and concat and if statements. And I mean, it is really involved, but it gives you this nice little report on your item with then links out to the borrower and the bid and action logs, and it's really interesting. I just need to solve the part where he's got some authorized values that we don't use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one thing that he's got some other reports that are on a smaller scale, kind of similar, where you can like set a bunch of different options, but he also has a bunch of like custom authorized values set up for that because of how his consortium is set up versus ours don't necessarily work. Like for them, all their library groups have codes that start with the same thing. And like we just have 3-digit codes for our libraries. But if we had thought about the reports the way that they're, like if I was setting up Valnet now on Koha, knowing what I know, I'd probably set up like up to 3 to 7 digit library codes where the groups could have their group like LCLD for my group, and then our 3-letter codes so that we could use some of those same reports that he has set up. Let's see. Anyone have any other sysadmin stuff to talk about this week, or is it going to be a short meeting? I mean, I guess, yeah.
That report you mentioned that George wrote, is that out somewhere on like a repository somewhere to grab, or?
Yes, I'm trying to find the link to put into the agenda. And probably also a link to the videos.
Oh, looked like Jason's already sent it. Thank you.
Ah.
Yeah, that's the link to George's notes, which includes the code and all of his notes. The video is, I'm just pulling this off the koha-US website.
Yeah.
It's linked up on our Learn page there, but there's the direct YouTube link to the final video.
And as I went through his code, he's got some reports that you have to refer to that the final report uses, and he's got them on GitHub, I guess, and the links don't work. What I recall is that the link ends with like .sql, but if you put it .txt, you can get to the actual text of his report for those sub reports. That took me a little bit to figure out before thinking I'd email him directly, but I figured it out.
Now I had
300. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was 388 lines on that final report. Plus, it links to other reports.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot going on. Yeah, Rebecca, what's up?
Oh, I had a question about bugs. And do we have a place where we can sort of ask each other for help for promoting or commenting on bugs to get them pushed up a little faster?
A lot of times we'll talk about those at the general meeting, and then they end up on the general meeting or on the koha-US bug. We have like a bug account so that we can keep track of stuff that's been talked about at meetings. And I believe we try to. Jason, do we talk, like if we talk about a bug in a SIG, do those also get added?
Not by me. I'm not sure who all has access to that account anymore.
I think George might be the only person who has access then if you don't.
I don't. So we haven't been keeping up with that as well. But we do have an organizational Bugzilla account where we try to keep track of all the bugs that we talk about. But it could use more attention probably.
I
I did
wasn't
put
sure.
the
Sorry,
link in the
I saw the link.
chat. Okay.
But I wasn't sure if it was something that like the sysadmin group was like, hey, I need help getting this bug pushed up, or commented on. I had a couple open this week that were like brand new, and there was one from like 2017. So
I think
I was
maybe for like specific to the group type stuff, the mailing list might be the best place to do that.
okay.
That way everybody in the sysadmin group is getting eyes on your specific bugs, instead of them getting like mixed in with the whole bulk load of what we're following.
And I've tried bringing up certain ones in some of the SIGs just to highlight them so that maybe somebody else will go in there and, add their name to it to show that they're interested in it. And a couple of times I've gone in and just like added another comment, or I don't know if I've really asked questions, but added another comment, because then it kind of will pop to the top of the recently updated, and then someone else may look at it and do something with it.
Or maybe someone else copied themselves on it a while ago, and when there's a new comment, they go, oh yeah, that's a problem for me too, that I now can better articulate in a bug comment or whatever. Or I'd forgotten this was a problem for me because I'd figured out how to cope with it. Or like I spend a lot of time looking at the new bugs just to see what people are reporting. And so then also if people comment on things, I can like link ones together if there's something new that's relevant, but I'd forgotten about this other bug that I'm copied on, or things like that. Do you have any bugs in particular you wanted to talk about since we have some time?
Oh, sure. Let me pull them up. Sorry. I can just put them in the chat if that's okay.
Yeah.
There's two specifically. I was running a holds report from July and was unaware that the action logs were wiped out after a certain period of time. So my column was showing up as empty. So these are basically about the action logs. And I didn't realize that they got wiped out. So one of them is from 2017, the 18-631.
But it looks like most of the comments have been from this month. So yeah, that's something that it would be nice if that was modular, because some logs are going to be easier to keep longer than others.
And as Jeff said, we're in the same system and we're new to Koha, so we didn't even know that this was a thing. To the extent like what data is kept and where we know mostly what's kept where, but we didn't know the action logs were wiped out.
Yeah, and the thing about the action logs too is that it does seem to be, I mean, for our consortium, it's between 2 and 3 months, but it's not consistent. Because I think if it gets too big, it'll start deleting the older stuff. So if we have like a really busy month, it might only keep 2 months worth of stuff. Seems to be the case. I'm not sure if that's 100% accurate, but I remember there have been a couple times when I've definitely run reports on things 3 months back and had it work, and then run the same report on other things or at a different time 3 months back and only got stuff for 2 months. So being able to know how long that was actually kept would be helpful. Oh yeah, and that add unique action types to action logs for holds. It's hard to write reports for the action logs, especially for hold stuff.
Yeah, today we're reopening 2 new locations, or no, they're not new, but 2 locations. We only have one central hold pickup. And so these 2 new branches are the Express Library, 15 minutes in and out, pick up your holds, browse the shelves, and so we're trying to track basically everything we could possibly think of to see how much use is it getting, how many people are coming there, where are they coming from, that kind of stuff. So a lot of these reports in preparation for these reopenings, this is where some of this was coming up.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm trying to think of, yeah, I'm not sure there's really any other places. I mean, that's something that the education committee and the officers have talked about, opening up the Slack to members. So maybe we could have like a bugs channel where people could put bugs once we've got that figured out. So if people just had a bug that they wanted to get more eyes on, they could. I will add that to my list to talk about with the education committee. Okay. Let's see. Any other sysadmin questions, comments?
I was curious if anybody uses the housebound function in Koha. Homebound.
I
We're
feel like I
looking-
looked at it, but we
Okay.
don't, I mean, we already had an established workflow for our homebound patrons. So
Okay.
we ended up not using the houseband module when it was added. So I can't remember exactly why we decided not to.
Okay. Yeah, there's. Go ahead.
I don't think there were any problems with it. We also had a workflow, the libraries in our consortium that would have used it had a workflow that was working for them already, but I also feel like there were some bugs at the time that like there were going to be some changes made that we said, well, maybe once these get pushed, and then we never went back and looked at them to see if they got pushed, just to like make it flow a little bit better, because I feel like there were a lot of clicks getting it set up for like setting up a patron as either a housebound person or a picker upper for a housebound patron. Felt like a lot of clicks, and I think there were some bugs that were supposed to make that a little bit streamlined.
The bug that I just put in the chat says housebound and previous checkout, or previous checkout. That one would help with the housebound, as far as finding things that they haven't previously checked out. But I'm thinking it's also broader. It might be helpful because basically what they're doing is currently the system preference of check previous checkouts is an everyone or no one setting. So this would separate out, and you could have it apply to just specific situations so that, the people at the checkout desk aren't watching all this, extra information. Like for instance, only for a specific patron category, like housebound patrons, when you go to check something out, then it will pop up that, or, there's probably other uses where it would be helpful in different settings. So that's the one I wanted to highlight, because we're just now looking at getting housebound set up. We've got a van now, and we're looking at getting that set up. So, I thought if anybody's using it, it would be great.
So let me we have the check previous checkout set to allow if the settings allow, but like the patron has to go in and turn it on, I think. Oh, but on the staff side, you can say yes if the settings allow it. But let's see. You don't have to. Oh, that's weird. Well, here's a fun new bug that I was not happening the last week. My patron messaging preferences, cell provider, and text number are showing under patron restrictions and patron messaging preferences. That's weird. Okay, I'll look into that later. But I wonder, I don't remember how the housebound module works. Do you have to edit the patron to turn it on for them? Or do you just have...
I don't think you have to edit the patron. It's been a couple weeks since I looked at it, but you in the housebound module, you can select pickers and receivers, I guess. I don't know if you actually have to go in and modify it. Donna showed us how it worked. But as I was sitting here,
I like your, I think that it would be great, yeah, if you could set it so that homebound patrons, it could just be turned on for them. But until that happens, you could go in and when you're setting someone up as homebound, go edit them to say yes if the settings allow.
Okay.
Instead of just having it off.
Think so. On the check previous checkout system preference, mine says do not, unless overridden by a patron category, do not, or unless overridden by patron category, do.
Oh, does that mean the patron categories let you? And you could set...
Sounds like that's already working.
Maybe. It's not really clear.
Yeah.
Because when you pull up the patron categories, there's a default privacy setting, which I guess is what it's taking into account. I'm not sure.
Default privacy. Well, I can experiment with that and see what happens. So he went into system preferences. Check. What was that thing? Check.
Check Prev checkout.
Okay.
I don't think that's what that
Is that not what that means?
used to mean. No, I think that changed because that's what ours is set on. But I don't think it's actually patron category. I think it's based on if the patron themselves goes in and turns it on. But there is an option for check previous checkout in the table. Follow, let's see, check for previous checkout, inherit from system preference. Then you can say yes and try to override system preference, no and try to override system preference, or inherit from system preference.
So where do you see that?
So here, I can just share my screen.
Okay.
So here, just editing a category. Down here, it says check for previous checkouts.
Oh.
I do not see that setting.
What do you have your... Oh.
My system preference is set to do not, so that's probably why I don't see that.
Maybe if you say by patron category, do not.
Oh. So everybody's not, but then we could set up a homebound that says, yes, we do want it.
And then you'd need to have that patron set as the homebound category.
Right.
Which, depending on how your circ and fine rules are set up, might be annoying. But
Yeah.
but it would be a way to let that work.
Yeah. Okay.
Though I do wonder if that bug that you talked about might still be better because there are other system preferences that might also, Donna specified that, but I wonder if there's other things that other settings you might want to change for specifically homebound patrons.
Mhm.
Also, I know some people like having a homebound patron type because they can change like if your circ and fine rules are 3 weeks, but you only go out in your van once a week or once a month or
Oh,
something, then you could
Mhm.
have a different rule for them so that things would be checked out longer.
Okay.
Yeah, we do that. We also have it set so that they don't charge fines because we can't hold them responsible for things they can't bring back.
Yeah.
For us not
Kind of thing.
showing up, right?
Yeah.
Right. So you might
Okay.
decide that if you're turning it on that you would want that function anyway.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
I'm playing around with this. You were right, Lisette. If you switch the system preference, then that previous checkout option shows up on the patron administration.
Okay. So we could turn it on for homebound. All right. Good deal. Thanks. I got one other question. Annoying. I'm just sitting here and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, what about? Was anybody able to successfully add the barcode to the customer's record, like when they log into their account and see the barcode? Because I tried to do that and I could not get it to work.
We turned it on our test server.
Okay.
We have it working, and I think one thing I remember about it was I had to go and change the barcode type or whatever that coding or whatever that it's grabbing, because we use code 39 and whatever the original code that was written was using maybe code bar or something like that. I do remember that.
Okay.
So you might just check and see if that's got anything to do with it.
Okay.
Is it just not showing up?
Yeah.
Or is it?
Just nothing. Just nothing is showing up.
Okay. That wasn't our problem right now is that some of the barcode scanners can read the barcode, but for other ones it's too small.
Oh, okay.
So like in Moscow we didn't have any problems, but some of the other branches had issues when we tested it.
Yeah, I just wasn't getting anything.
But we're considering that's actually one of the things we're talking about at our meeting today is if we want to turn it on the regular side so that the patrons whose libraries can scan it will have that option.
I'm confused about what we're talking about.
So Lucas wrote some jQuery and CSS to add this little button, view your e-card, to bring up a scannable e-card here.
Okay.
On the OPEC, so patrons can, like if they forgot their card or don't want to pull it out of their wallet or whatever, they can just scan it.
So they can like pop it up on their phone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so I haven't tested it with our self-check machine yet because I've only been in like 2 days since it's been fixed.
They worked with our self-checks.
Who do you have?
We're using TechLogic, but we use a all-in-one piece of equipment from a company called CPoint.
Okay.
But
we have a bibliotech machine. And I would say the barcode scanners that we have at our desk are better quality barcode scanners than are on the machine. So I'm skeptical that it'll work well unless we can make the barcode show up bigger on screens.
I did have to adjust the size. I remember when I was testing it with the self-checks, I did have to make it bigger for it to be seen.
Yeah, so maybe I'll try that when I'm in Thursday. Okay. I know we got started a little late, but I actually have another meeting at 9. So I can't stick around longer. Our next meeting will be the 13th of April. And I hopefully will not be on jury duty right before, so can actually send out an agenda in advance. Well, I definitely won't be on jury duty because I'm out of the pool for a year now. So, okay. Talk to everybody later.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
So long.
Have a good day.